Hello, my friends. Today, we will learn about the Rainbow Covenant or Noah Rainbow Covenant. As you know, that covenant was established between God and Noah soon after the flood, whereby God promises that the flood will not come back as fast as before, provided that Noah abides by bloodshed laws. If you look at the content of the covenant, it deals with one subject only, bloodshed. To remind you, this is the only covenant between God and mankind ever written in the Bible. There is no other covenant between God and mankind, only this one. And it's not about the idolatry. It's not about the Messiah. And it's not about the end of the day, who Satan and who was what. It's only about bloodshed laws. So our all future of mankind, if we want to prevent another flood from coming, depend on how much we abide by bloodshed law. If we should stop the bloodshed, period. If not, the flood will return. Isn't that amazing? And it looked like it's speaking to our generation. Because we, like Noah's generation, we are on the verge of annihilating ourselves with terrible bloodshed. Bloodshed that not be conducted by water. We are going to kill ourselves with atomic fire. Right now in the Middle East, it's almost there. So again, the only covenant that God made with Noah and his children, which means with mankind, because we are all children of Noah. Noah replaces Adam. So the only covenant between God and mankind, which is still relevant to today, is about bloodshed. Noah commandment number 3. And why is it? Because Noah's generation sinned, they transgress all the sins, all possible laws, idolatry, adultery, but the fate was sealed, finally sealed, Rashi says, because of bloodshed combined with theft, which is called Hamas. Yes, Hamas from Gaza Strip is actually in the Bible, and it stands for terrible bloodshed combined with theft, besides other things. So as long as we abide by bloodshed, the flood, God pledges or promises to Noah that the flood will not return. So we are here on contingency. And that's why it's so important for us to see what the covenant is all about and to study it in detail. And that's what we're going to do now. Of course, not in too much detail, but at least to understand what the covenant says. What is a covenant? Here it is. This is simply a copy or a text, the text of the covenant itself. It is where you see here God appearing to Noah, appearing to him, as you can see, as two wings. The blue wing first, which represent where the merciful attribute speaks, YHVH, followed by another wing of the now Elohim speaking to Noah. So God, it's God appeared to Noah in the covenant as a heavenly court with a merciful attribute first speaking, and then followed by the Elohim, the attribute of judgment. So the heavenly court is entering a covenant with us. You know, there is no such thing, other section in Torah that's so beautiful. And in a very beautiful way, the heavenly court itself, as it speaks to us. It's really awesome. And as you can see, let's talk about this heavenly court. By the way, where is this? Where is the scene? On what background the heavenly court appeared to Noah? As the Torah says, it was on Mount Moriah. Soon after the flood, Noah refused to procreate. He said, I'm not going to bring children unless God promises me a better future and a change in our heart, that people will not be bloodthirsty as much as in the past. I want a change in the heavenly court heart, and I want a change in the human heart. If I don't get that, I am not going to procreate. So he goes to Mount Moriah, where he erects on Mount Moriah his altar, a square of stone filled with dirt, with a ram on the south, that become the prototype of all altars in that place after him. So when King Solomon and Ezra built their altar on that side, they did it after the model of Noah. So important is this prayer of Noah, the first prayer ever. So Noah stayed on Mount Moriah and the first prayer ever. No human before Noah is shown to pray to God in such a way. And he prayed by offering burnt offering. What is special about burnt offering, you don't have to speak. You unload your thought and your tribulations with the smoke that goes up. That's burnt offering. But we know what he was praying for. He was praying for a change, as I said, in a man's heart that will not be, that his children is going to procreate, provided God promises him that there is a change in human heart, and provided that God himself promises the change in a heavenly cold heart, so that the flood will not come back as soon as before. So it's a very dramatic moment. And as the smoke went up, the Midrash says he was depressed because the smoke did not go up to the heaven. There were heavy clouds, and actually the smoke hung over the mountain with a stench. And he was depressed. Oh, my prayer is not accepted. All that is very important to understand the background of the covenant, because in the covenant, God answered Noah's heart. He answered the prayer. And that's the first time it's shown in Torah that God listened to mankind's prayer. Everything here is primordial, established, cornerstone in the future of mankind. So as he sit there and praying again and again, unloading his heart, then suddenly the cloud dispersed and the smoke went up. And God appears to him. When I say God, in Hebrew, there is no such thing as God. There's always an attribute. But here, there are two attributes together. First one, and then followed by two, like a train. I depict it here as a form of wings, as if each attribute forms a wing in the heavenly court. First, the blue, which appear only a merciful one attribute speaking, followed by the red, the attribute of judgment speaking. Now, you can see right away that the wings are symmetrical, because on top there, the blue one shows the YHVH, the first line, twice. That's it. In the blue part, the blue wing, the name of the merciful attribute appears twice. And if you look at the red, then keep come after that and speaks his point of view. Also, his name appeared twice. 2 times and 2 times to show you symmetry. Our symmetry, the heavenly court wings are. Not only that, each one of the wings speaks about 7 points. We discuss it. Symmetry in the content, in the form, but each attribute speaks on its own virtues, on his own what's concerned to him. The YHVH, the merciful one, speaks only about the human heart. How bloodthirsty it might be, and what could happen to us. So again, the merciful one who concerned about our heart, she wants to dwell in our heart. That's we are born to host her. So she speaks about the human heart, nothing about the law. Whereas in the red part, It's just the opposite. Elohim speaks the attribute of judgment, speaks only about the law, nothing about the human heart. So each attribute speaks its own mind, but in a symmetrical way. Not the protocol. The merciful one comes first, because she prevails, followed by the Elohim, the attribute of judgment. So again, in a very unusual fashion, you won't see anything like that in the Bible. Mankind is entering a covenant with God about bloodshed. And God appears here as an attribute, as a heavenly core. You see, God has no form, no shape. You cannot conceive even what God is. But we can understand what the heavenly court is. And the heavenly court is passing by Noah, speaking the detail of the rainbow covenant, under which we are all still living. We live here on contingency. If we abide by this covenant, avoid bloodshed, we'll survive. If not, the flood will come back in one way or another. That's a covenant. So after observing the covenant from above as two symmetrical wings, we can now enlarge the magnification, so to speak, and see which one, what are the topics that each attribute addresses. And remember, they speak to Noah. They answer his prayer. If you don't understand that, they cannot understand the Rainbow Covenant. The Rainbow Covenant is an answer to Noah's plea, prayer. All right, so let's turn the microscope and we'll see each attribute separately. So I'm going to discuss now each wing separately. And of course, if you go to detail, it takes, you can speak on each of those points the whole week. So it's just an introduction. So overall, the blue wing, the wing of the merciful attribute that passes by Noah, addresses 7 points. And so would the attribute of judgment, the red, also addresses 7 points in perfect symmetry. So what are the points? Here they are. It says like this: and Hashem smelled a sweet aroma. You know, in the past, I heard famous people teaching the Bible on public TV, for instance, journalists. I don't want to mention name. And when the teacher came to this verse, he said, I don't understand it. God seems so childish. He can be bribed by smoke of the bird flesh. Now, of course, the person who's non-Jewish has no clue what's going on here. He didn't know that verse number 1 is a permission for us to pray. So it's not true that people don't have to pray because God understands them. Why should I pray? God knows my heart. Oh, no. Verse number 1 says that God listened to Noah, burnt offering, and the stench of the burning flesh seemed to him like sweet aroma, because he liked Noah's prayer. So God, now when we say God, but you have to distinguish with the attribute. The merciful attribute is speaking here. She accepts prayer. In Eden, they call Adam, where are you? And she was there, the dominant voice. Adam, why did you sin? Where are you? Why are you hiding? Come to me. Repent. Confess. Here she says, Adam, speak out, pray. I want to listen to your heart. Because the heart is the key here. And she likes a heart that addresses her in prayer. This smoke of the flesh, burning flesh, seemed to her sweet aroma. And that's, my friend, is a permission to offer not only burnt offering, but sin offering, guilt offering, all the offering in a temple was kosher because of verse number 1. And of course, it's not the flesh burning. It's the prayer. Noah prayed silently, but he did pray. Burnt offering, you don't speak out a word. Sin offering, you must confess. Adam, where are you? Come, confess. Sin offering, you stand by the sacrifice, and if you don't confess, your sacrifice is abomination. Without mental and heart work, don't come to me with any sacrifice. So that's number 1. Extremely important line. It's not a childish bribe. Okay. Number 2. Hashem said to his or her heart. It's another point here. Hashem addresses Noah's silent prayer. And Noah did not or refuse to bring children to the world after the flood, because he said human heart is bloodthirsty. Bloodshed will return. Why then should I bring more children to the universe? They will be subjected by the bloodthirsty heart, and they will kill each other again, like Cain and Abel, and like Enosh clan and Cain clan. You know, Noah's generation was plagued with bloodshed, terrible bloodshed, by 2 camps. Camps Enosh disciples who worship mercy and overlooked Elohim. And on the other side, Cain's descendant, they did the opposite. They worship Elohim or Allah, harsh way, forgetting about mercy. But that religious background actually caused them or prompted them to start a major war. Potatoes, bloodshed, earth was filled with blood. Beside gangs and other bandits that roam the streets. So Noah thought, look, mankind started with pious after Adam and Eve. Then they developed this split between religion. One worship mercy, one worship judgment. But that only was a cover, because under this split finally came out the truth. The truth is that whatever our faith is will end up with bloodshed. If we worship to the right or to the left, if we in favor of one attribute or the other, we will fail. So, and we are subject to this bloodthirsty heart of us. We are animals. I know there are human beings called Nazis. They are not monsters. They are human beings who prefer to be beasts. They were proud to be in the jungle. And in the jungle, the strong prevail. So he was afraid that the human heart will take over again, and whatever our religion is will end up with bloodshed. Here comes Hashem and says, no. You see, Hashem is talking to his heart. Midrash says he was telling Noah, you too tell your children to talk to the heart. No, your heart is not controlling you. You can control your heart. In fact, that's what Hashem says to Cain. Before he did the killing of before he killed his brother. No, Cain, sin is crouching at the door of your heart. So you control, she said to Cain, go ahead and control your heart. Here too, she said to her heart. All the evil people speak by the heart. The Midrash said, the heart controls them. But righteous people, yes, the heart speak out. We are bloodthirsty animal, yes. Evolution, we still carry the evolution. But we can speak to our heart. That's number two. So don't be despaired now. Don't tell me that there is no, your children cannot control themselves. Number three, I will no longer curse the ground for men's sake. I promise to Noah that indeed his prayer is accepted, and the heavenly court will not bring the flood as fast as before. It's still hanging there, the threat. But this time the court will be more patient. And I will, for the sake of mankind, the sake of you, Noah, I will listen and I will be more patient next time. That's number 1, 2, and 3. Let's move on. So let's move on to the next 4 points. Remember, we are addressing now the blue wing that passed by Noah first. It will be followed by the red wing. And our 7 points, we discussed already 3. Now number 4 is direct answer to Noah's plea. For the drive of man's heart is evil from a view. You're right, Noah. You carry the evolution. And the man's heart is evil, cruel children. But children grow, and they can learn and change. And it's not just children, it's the mankind as a species. As a species, we are children. We started like apes, started like animals, maybe. And then we are changing. Man is not born complete. Let us make Adam. We need to, God said, we need to make an ideal Adam. And it's a process. And you're right, Noah. As long as we are at youth of mankind, evil prevail. You're right. In your generation, evil prevail. But there is a future. I've made you capable of changing. The more you accept me, the merciful one in your heart will be less bloodthirsty. It will change. You will become less animalistic in time. So don't be despair now. There is a future. That's number 4. By the way, that's the reason why in Jewish tradition we make bar mitzvah, maturity, at age 13. Because at age 13, as sex drive develop, love prevail, and our heart is capable of accepting Torah and loving Hashem. If you don't love a woman, if a woman doesn't love a man, you will never love God. One depends on the other. So that's the Zohar, book of Zohar. So that's the idea come from here. That the children who don't really love, what it means, they can torture as a cat or whatever. They can capture, they can torture. The children are evil. But hopefully when they grow up, especially when they learn Torah, the heart changes. Number 5, neither shall I again smite any more as living as before. Again, the repetition, Rashi says, because God actually make a vow not to bring the flood. 6, as long as the earth remains, seed and time and harvest and cold and hot and heat and summer and winter and way they will cease abstain. Here, God promises that the flood addresses Noah's plea and says, the flood will not come back and the season will not change. There is a hint here the rabbi said that the flood came along with a change of Earth rotation, change in season. In fact, they depict a change in a certain constellation in the sky. It was not aligned a regular way that brought about the flood. And the scientists actually support it. So Hashem again promises that the flood will not come back as before, as fast as before. And number 7 here depend on the last word in 6. It said, night and shall not cease. That's not the right translation. The right translation is abstain. Abstain from changing. So Shabbat, the word is Shabbat like Sabbath, on which the Midrash says that Hashem is saying to Noah and children, if you want to stop, one of the things you need to do to stop bloodshed, observe the Sabbath. Not in a way that later Moses says to Israel, with all the stringency, but you should commemorate the Sabbath as a date of remembering the creation and remembering that we are the story of creation, that we are moving in history to the Sabbath. And that fits Hashem talking, because when finally we come to that point in history, she will prevail. She will burn all the evil. She will fill our heart, and she will fill our universe. So it's a process. We are moving moving forward to allow her to enter more and more gradually into our universe, into our heart, into the temple, into the heart, changing ourselves and changing the universe. And that is number 7. So here we talk about very briefly on the 7th point that appears in the blue wing of the merciful one. Now, as I said, like a train, as she moves on, she is followed by the wing of Elohim, the attribute of justice, judgment. Let's see what he is talking about. You will see it's completely different from what she is concerned about. So we're going to discuss the 7th point now in the red wing. And the first point that now the attribute of justice, judgment, the harsh judge is speaking. And the content, not a word about the human heart. This is not what the judge is concerned about. He's concerned about the law. And he put down all the laws of bloodshed. So let's see what Elohim, the attribute of judgment, is talking to Noah, to us. Number 1, but flesh with its soul, its blood you shall not eat. Wow. First of all, he blesses Noah. In the text, he said, multiply, be fruitful. I've given you permission to consume flesh. You don't have to be vegetarian. I allow you to eat flesh. Then he goes to detail of the laws. And law number 1 is amazingly, do not eat blood, and do not eat a limb torn from a living animal, because it says your soul, the soul in the flesh. So as long as the flesh is alive, you don't take an animal you torn, or a creature you torn his leg and eat it alive. That's cruel. If you want to stop bloodshed, don't be cruel. So that's number one, become now a law. Noah commandment number 7. We already got 6 prohibitions in Eden: idolatry, adultery, bloodshed, theft, injustice, and blasphemy, the famous 6 of Adam. Now, one is added to Noah, not to eat blood, and a limb torn from anyone. But as you can see, it didn't come on limbo. It's not that suddenly God gave Noah another commandment from 6 to 7. Number 7 came to support the struggle against bloodshed. So number 7 came to support number 3. So you never should look at it as on its own, just, God didn't have anything to do. He told me not to eat blood. Oh, that's not the case. Both concerned about my committing tendency to commit bloodshed. And he said, first of all, teach yourself not to be cruel. Not to be cruel. So that's the expression of the idea that you want to stop bloodshed, expressed in the law, number 7. You see, everything here is about bloodshed, nothing about idolatry, or adultery, or civil rights, or the Messiah. It's about bloodshed, and this is the covenant under which we live. Number 2, in Elohim words, and surely the blood of your life shall I require. You know what it is? Don't commit suicide. Because God says, if you commit suicide, you will come to me, and I will deem you as a killer. Oh, the rabbi said, what does it mean? He already committed suicide. I was going to be punished. Oh. This is the only source in the Bible, a qualified source from God himself, telling you there is an afterlife judgment. You commit suicide, you come to me to stand in judgment. So it's not everyone come to him to stand in judgment. That's the source. It's the only clear source. There is a judgment after life. You cannot deny it. There's no way you can explain the verse differently. You commit suicide, you come to me, and I will judge you as a killer. Number 2, or number 3. From the hand of every beast, I shall avenge your blood. Oh, so the simple meaning means that if you are devoured by a lion, so God will punish the lion. That's not what it means. That's not what the Torah says. The Torah says a lion here, a beast, is somebody who put that beast to kill you. So that's called indirect. It's a metaphor for indirect killing. You kill by putting a lion. You can put a snake. You can put vicious bees. What's the difference? That is the Talmud said. There is a difference. Lions sometimes kill, sometimes not. Snake would most likely kill. Vicious bees will always. So the degree of responsibility depends on what kind of instrument you use for the indirect killing. It's not just bees. It's you can kill a person by starving. And you can say, oh, I didn't kill him. The hunger killed him. You perpetrated the hunger. You stop him. You stop the food. You stop the medication. You stop the breathing machine. So you are the killer. Only that it's not punishable by human court, by death. God said, "He will come to me." The person will pay his due to God in one way or the other. Here on earth, we can punish him according to the court of the state, law of the state. We can establish laws of our own, but we cannot, according to the Torah, indirect killing. Still, you don't harm, you don't stone, you don't kill the person, because after all, he used indirect killing. It's forbidden. You are considered a killer, but you're not being executed by a rabbinical court. The government can decide differently, depending on situations in the country. But from a Torah perspective, you see, it's very difficult to execute a person from Torah perspective, extremely difficult. And here you are as an example, you stop the breathing machine. Well, you cannot kill the doctor who did it, but he is a killer. So here are the last point from the wing of Elohim. Number 4, from the hand of a man, indirect killing, this time not by animal, by mercenary. Human mercenaries. They are not, according to rabbinical court, they cannot be executed, but God will punish them as killers. Number 5, from the hand of man I shall require his brother. Number 5 addresses a special level of killing. We go higher and higher in the list, as you see, addressing who is a man who will kill his brother, brotherhood. He is a man who acted by mercy and or did assisting suicide. So if you act by mercy and you assist suicide, according to rabbinical court, it's forbidden, but you cannot be executed by rabbinical court. When you come to Hashem, and you will come to Hashem, he will consider you as a killer. Now, let's talk about assisting suicide. It's forbidden, but there are cases that it's welcome. For instance, I'll give you an example. King Saul. When King Saul saw the Philistine coming to kill him, he wanted to stop, to prevent his torture. He wanted to fall on his sword. He couldn't do it. So he asked the servant, the Amalekite boy, help me. And the boy pushed him, and he fell on his sword, and he was killed. The boy, of course, wanted a reward, so he came to David, knew that David was enemy of, or Saul was enemy of David. So he came to David, telling him what happened. He was expecting a big reward. He killed David's enemy. But instead, David was so enraged in the book of Samuel that he ordered the boy to be executed. Because you dared to kill the Messiah of God? Here is an example of the word Messiah is anointed king. Human anointed king. King Saul was a Messiah. He was anointed, and so was David by the prophet Samuel. You dare to touch him? Now the rabbi asked, well, David, on what basis you executed the boy? After all, he assisted in suicide. And assisting suicide is forbidden in Noahide, but there are cases that it's okay to prevent torture by the enemy. So why did you kill the boy? Indeed, the answer is David did not follow the law. He executed the boy from rage because he acted like a government. The government sometimes can overcome the system, any reason, and the government can prevent those who assist suicide by punishing them. I cannot but stop by telling you a story about the assisted suicide. In the time of Adrian Caesar, the Rome forbade the Jewish people in Judea to learn Torah, to circumcise themselves, and to keep the Sabbath and so on, and to teach Torah, punishable by death. That was wrong. So a certain rabbi, named of Hanina ben Tradion, was captured for the awful sin of teaching Torah. So he was condemned to die by fire. The time to a pole, and they tied Torah scroll around his body, and they put sponges of water between the scroll and his body to prolong his death. And moreover, when they put the fire on, they appointed a fat centurion or legionnaire to stand there and to push the burning log away, so that to prolong the death of the condemned rabbi. So as the scene went on, and the rabbi was tortured there on the pole, the centurion asked him, Rabbi, what is your sin? Why they punish you? He said, for teaching Torah. So the legionnaire said, Rabbi, if you want, I can shorten your death by announcing a fire rather than prolonging it. I can enhance the fire. Would you like me to do that? So the rabbi said, no, I cannot ask you to do that, because if I do ask you to shorten my life, I commit assisted suicide. And I don't want to go up to heaven with the guilt of assisting suicide. So the centurion thought about it, and then he asked, Rabbi, if I shorten it, would you promise me that I will sit by you at heavenly court? And the rabbi didn't know what he didn't understand what he's saying. He said, the rabbi said, I promise. So the centurion said, Rabbi, take me with you. And he jumped into the fire. And they said that from the fire, big fire that came out from his fat body, the fire was so big, so that both of them died instantaneously with less agony. And when he did that, a heavenly voice was heard from heaven saying, that's what the Talmud said, welcome, centurion, welcome, Rabbi, sit together by me, by the heavenly throne. So you see, there are cases of assisted suicide, like King Saul, like the rabbi and centurion, that it's okay. Number 6, whoever shed blood of man by man, no abortion. Man by man, man's an inside man, actually. No abortion, which means you cannot execute such a doctor or person who perform abortion by rabbinical court. You cannot execute him. But when it comes to God, he's considered a killer, and he will come to God. Number 7 is direct killing. By a man should the blood be shed. Here we're talking about direct intentional killing, and that's the only case that a person can be executed by mankind. Whoever shed blood of a man, by man, his own blood will be shed. But to perform execution of such a killer, you need to have witnesses. The person should have been warned. He should have known that killing is punishable by death. And it's a very difficult then to find. It's a very rare that a rabbinical court will decide to execute a killer, or the Sanhedrin, because the person should be warned. He should have witnesses that saw that. The witnesses warned him, and the person understood what they are saying, and yet in cool mind he continued. And that's extremely rare to meet all these requirements. So the Talmud said that in the Sanhedrin, if they executed a person once in 70 years, they lamented. They lamented it so much, they agonized about it. And they thought themselves to be killers. So it's extremely rare under rabbinical court to execute a person. In a government law, it's different. If the government wants to stop killers, the government can execute a killer. Less stringency. But when it comes to Sanhedrin and a rabbinical court, it's extremely, extremely difficult. So here are the 7 points of Elohim wing, parallel to the 7 point in Hashem, in merciful wing. Blue is symmetrical to the red even in the numbers. And the text shows that after the heavenly court passed by him, Elohim said, I put a rainbow in the sky to remind the heavenly court, so to speak, that the flood will not come back, but it is a sign for mankind to remember the bloodshed law. So whenever you see a rainbow in the sky, it's beautiful. But it should remind you, rainbow covenant, that we are here under contingency. And the rainbow covenant is based on bloodshed law. One more thing, what bothers Noah is the fact that mankind split into two camps, one worshiping mercy, one worshiping judgment, and they fought each other. And that was predictable because, after all, mankind, Adam was made by the two attributes. And our task is to unite them, not to split. That's one of the challenges of idolatry. So every morning when I say Shema, God, Elohim, and mercy is one, I actually declare that I am not following Enosh, and I'm not following Cain. I am not worshiping mercy alone, and I'm not worshiping Allah alone. I worship oneness. God, the two attributes as one. And that, if I do that, I will certainly avoid bloodshed myself. I will be deterred from doing bloodshed. And I will be more prone to accept the Torah and to become very good. And so that we can, if mankind do that, we will all move to the Sabbath successfully and happily. So this is a rainbow covenant. I know that you can speak on each of those points, you can speak more and more detail, but that's not for us right now. So next time we will move on with the topic of bloodshed. Actually, we are going to move to Abraham and the story of Abraham and theft, which is number 4. Thank you.